attendance for the minutes. And we'll be starting, okay, the camera's on, so. I'm going to call to order the Nottingham Planning Board meeting for Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. First thing I'll do is have attendance. We'll go roll call, starting on my right.
Robert Davies, alternate.
Gary Anderson.
Ron Moore.
Edward Veal.
Ian McKinnon.
Mr. Davies will be seated and voting tonight for Mr. Grotenhuis. So we're going to take the cases in order with the exception of one item. I'm guessing by the turnout, some of you might be here for this. But there was a design review requested for a subdivision for Owl Ridge Builders on Smoke Street. We received a request from the applicant's representative that to continue that to our first December meeting. Apparently they had a conflict with their schedule, so we cannot take any action on that tonight or even open the hearing on it. So there's no new, so the request was to continue that to December 8th, I believe, which would be, we always say at 7 p.m. There's no new notification that will go out, so if you received a butter notification, that one mailing is it. After that, you have to follow it by the meetings or the agendas on the town website and the postings in the various places that they are legally posted. So, so I guess I will take. That would be a motion from the board. Somebody up here to continue that case to December 8th.
Mr. Chair, I move that we continue the design review subdivision for Owl Ridge Builders along Smoke Street to December 8th, 2021 at 7 p.m.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. So that's, again, for the Owl Ridge design review. We can't do anything with that tonight. So if you're here for that case, we won't be able to speak about it tonight at all.
Ed, did we, was it Dirk's preference to move the conceptuals and design reviews?
I usually take it in the order that are here, but I figured a lot of people were here for that one.
Yeah, no, and I was just wondering, I thought maybe we would do like anything that's non-public hearing first, like whether it's conceptual or design. Usually those are the fast ones.
Would like to see the conceptual first? So we've had a request by the board to move the conceptual review for the subdivision on Moores Road as the next item in business. So for anybody here, conceptual reviews are an option for applicants to get non-binding input from the board. So nothing discussed at this meeting is binding at all. It's intended to be informal. It's just kind of a way to see an applicant's plan or kind of their thought process and guide them before they spend the extra funds to engineer a plan and do all that. So, so we'll bring that up. And
Mr. Vice Chair, this one I will have to recuse myself just because my firm is represented.
And if you could identify yourself, sir, I'd appreciate it.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Wayne Morrill from Jones Beach Engineers, here on behalf of Jim Rossborough, the landowner. So this piece of property is a 56-acre tract. There is two roads that sort of go on either side of this. The first one is Jampa Road, which is on the top of my sheet here. It's on the what would be the west side of the piece of property. That Jampa Road has been accepted by the as a town road. And then on the easterly side of this, we have Moores Road, which has been conditionally accepted, but needed to be brought up to town standards. And following that decision, the town standards were, I guess, are no longer in play anymore. So my client has been meeting with the selectmen and with the public works director on the actual roadway and what would be acceptable for that roadway to be accessed. What we're showing the board tonight is a yield plan for a conventional subdivision. This piece of property is in the residential agricultural zone, 2-acre minimum with 200 feet of frontage, and 30,000 square feet of contiguous uplands. What we're showing the board tonight is a plan that has each one of our lots. We're showing 11 lots on this plan. Each one of them has more than 200 feet of frontage. Each one is more than 2 acres, and each lot has at least 30,000 square feet of contiguous uplands. We are showing a few of the lots having common driveways that access some of the lots. And this yield plan is showing access for lots coming off of both Jampa and off of Moores Road. What we'd like to discuss with the board tonight is to move away from a conventional subdivision and go to a open space. So this open space concept would still be utilizing the same 56 acres of land, but all access to this subdivision would be frontage lots off of Moores Road. There would be, Champa Road would still be a roadway that bisects, goes through this piece of property, but it would not access any of these proposed house lots. These lots are all being shown in excess of 30,000 square feet of square feet minimum lot size and 100 feet of frontage. We're showing the same 11 lots on this concept. The thing that this plan does is it puts 39 acres of the 56 into open space. Of that 39 acres, more than 50% has to be buildable and 60% contiguous. This piece of property would have 10.75 acres of wetlands of that 39, which is approximately 27% of the open space would be wetland. This plan is not observing the 100-foot buffer around this open space. We are trying to keep the lots consistent with other lots that are along Moores Road, where the houses are on very small lots and very close to the road. This plan, as I said, shows those 11 lots. We are, like I said, trying to keep the development consistent with other lots in this area. So what we're here tonight is try to get some direction from the board on moving forward. Our firm is about to complete the boundary and topo and wetland survey. So we're going to be moving forward on one direction or the other. But this plan here actually protects a large wetland area. And Jampa Road, I don't know if people have gone down that, but it's not as accessible as Moores Road. Moores Road will be brought up to at whatever town standard that the Public Works and Selectmen agree on. And again, no access to Jampa Road. So that's pretty much for my presentation for tonight.
Thank you. So at this point, I'll bring it to the board. Again, conceptuals are high level, non-binding, so we can't go into the normal detail that we would on either a design review or full application, but the board first.
I have a couple of comments, Mr. Morrow. What's on the other side of Jamsa Road that we don't see on your conceptual? What's here? Are there more houses, or is it?
There are some house lots there. A lot of them are using Jampa Road, they're gaining access, but Jampa Road is going down and serving more of lots down on Pawtuckaway. So there are some lots that are using Jampa Road as their access point.
How built up is it?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can get that information for you. I'm not quite sure how many house lots are down there, but from what I understand, it's pretty a tough road to drive because it goes up and over hills and it's not the best shape. But it is approved by accepted by the town.
Yeah, we can look up there for Jampa Road, Jampa Trail, or what they call it. There is no lots. All the lots that go to Jampa Trail are gonna be on the water. So there is no lots up there that are buildable.
Here?
Up on
Okay.
top. There's only, that road goes down and they all go to lake lots.
Okay,
So there's nothing up there.
so this is this is
No.
not protected
Right on
open
the side of
space?
that, right on the other side of Jampa is what we call Sax's Road. There's another road.
I know that one.
And then off Sax's Road, there's one house, I think, off Sax's Road up on top, next to Mountain Road.
Yeah.
And then it goes all the way down, full of woods, 'cause that's all Sax's land behind there, which is another 80 acres.
Yeah, yeah.
So that connects a big way through. There's no way to build in between Jansen Trail and Sax's Road. Because of wetlands that run through the ledge, the distance between the two roads, you would never be able to, you can literally almost see each road. When you drive down one, you can look through the woods and see the next road, so it's.
I'll take a look at it.
On the Saks Road
Yeah,
side.
I do like the open space conceptual, because it really protects the two wetlands that are indicated here much better than if they were, belonged to a house lot per se. And I'm assuming that the drainage here, the topography goes down toward the lake anyway.
I believe everything flows down to the lake. Yeah, this wetland does hold water quite a bit, so this would be a good piece of wetland to protect in the middle there.
Thank you.
That does bring up a good point. So obviously with any kind of yield plan, we are cognizant of, are they actually buildable? It's not that we could just carve up the space. So our contiguous area, is 30,000 square feet of upland soils. In any area, and there's restrictions about the shape of it. And if there's areas that are non-buildable that break up the continuity of it, there's that. So, and also there's the setback for poorly drained and very poorly drained wetlands are different, as well as there's new protections if there's I believe there might be a stream that comes through this possibly, through what would be shown as Lot 5 and Lot 9 coming down from Jamsa. I could be wrong, but looking at the maps, it looked like there might be a stream that comes through there, so you'd have to look at, we have a stream buffer ordinance.
Okay.
Now, so that'd be something we would look at when we had a formal plan was, the actual number of lots, so there might be some shifting that has to be done, lot shape, things like that, like the lot shape of Lot 5, we'd probably prefer to see that kind of change up a little bit and, maybe Lot 10 line move and get rid of that weird triangle.
Yeah, I think we'll get this a little bit cleaned up once the boundary survey is all done and
Right.
come with the board with a formal yield plan.
Yep. And then the other thing I'm sure that would come up, obviously you mentioned the roads. So the other part of that is outside of this, where the roads originate, is not in Nottingham, it's Raymond. So, Raymond would be notified and have input on that, I believe is in a butter. So, we would look for their kind of input. Yeah, so there would be.
Yeah, state statute means you actually have to go to Raymond.
To be able to provide this, okay?
The only access is through Raymond. I'll pull up the state statute.
Regional impact.
Is that
No,
true?
it gets captured, it's a higher level of scrutiny. Because you would have to, I believe, you have to get.
So obviously, yeah, road condition would be an item that would be addressed, and access would be the other part, I'm sure would be a common item, especially for roads that don't have another means of egress or ingress. But other than that, in general, especially if they could be designed well to fit the character of the rest of that neighborhood, I would lean more towards an open space type of situation, to preserve, especially when you have wetlands and things like that, and you're close to a sensitive area like Pawtucket Lake. Trying to find ways to mitigate anything that less fragmented would be, in my opinion, the better of the two options.
I'd also recommend that you might consider dropping it, this is just my opinion, throw it out there, dropping Lot 11, in case this board makes you decide that this new subdivision has to make that road up to our subdivision regulations. It won't be part of what the standard of a road is by town, it's gonna be a subdivision road.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're gonna deal with 25 feet, you're gonna deal with curb cut, you're gonna deal with everything, as if you were building a brand-new subdivision. So consider that in your plan for that. So by going, if you drop Lot 11, you might be able to stop at Lot 10 for that new road to be that proper width and everything like that.
Okay.
But if you go to lot 11, all those houses that are sitting between the lot 11 and lot 10, the road might have to be up to that full 25 feet, which you might have problems with.
Yep. Yeah, you're talking about the open space one where we stretch it to lot 11?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So that lot might want to be considered going away,
Okay.
just because you have to go from one to the other. So you literally have to make the road past all those houses up to our subdivision standards, which you might find very difficult.
Yep,
Get down the road
that's a good point.
sometimes.
Moore's was.
Conditionally accepted at a town meeting. Not this last year, a few years ago, correct?
Don't know if it's up.
We'd have to look. We'd have to look. I believe this one might have been a conditional acceptance multiple years ago.
It was, yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, it went to be approved as a town road, it got rejected. It got a kind of approval if the road was brought up to a town standards. And those weren't identified back in, when this went through, so that's why it never got its official road standard, because we didn't have a standard to tell them to what to bring up the road to.
Are you, any consideration for work?
At this point, it's just an open space development, using a yield planning conventional to get the same amount of lots as open space.
Conventional
Surprise cars actually make it down there.
Through 10, in particular, this will take a regular shape to those. You're gonna wanna look at section 14.2.2 of the subdivision regulations and the lot shape provisions. Just look at the ratio with the length of the lot as well as the narrower portion of the lot.
Okay.
And the subdivision road standard area.
I do believe our newest zoning ordinance is online. I think that's where I downloaded this from. So there was a section E added last year, I believe it was, the stream protection overlay district. I know I mentioned it, but you just want to check and see if that might again, have any kind of impact to this. So, yeah, setbacks, contiguous area, the actual buildable lots would be my thing, and then any direct wetland impacts would have zoning relief that would be required. Private roads would also require, since there's no frontage on a town road, that would require variance as well. All lots have to be accessed by, or have frontage on class 5 or better road.
That section B is not in the table of contents. It will be on page 20. Stream protection overlay district. table of contents.
I'm guessing one thing that might come up from abutters, I know it came up a lot on this, on a prior application for Saks Road was, questions about access to the lake and, things like that. I don't know if this land doesn't look like right now it has any frontage on Pawtucket, but, I'd just be prepared to know the answer or address it.
Yeah, we don't have any access on any property that touches Pawtucket with this piece.
There is. That should be.
Questions or comments from the board? So normally, conceptuals don't normally have a chance for public to speak. I know people in the room, I don't know if they're here for this or not. I would, before I even open it to the floor, just to, if you feel it might be helpful, if there are people here that wanted to speak toward this, to hear their comments now,
Sure.
let me know. If
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you disagree, then we'll save that for
I'd
either
rather
design
hear it
review.
now so that we know what we're addressing.
And
as
then, no,
we
we,
move.
so with that said, if anybody in the room is here with questions on this application, again, it's conceptual, it's non-binding, there's no action taken tonight, there's nothing that we can say that's gonna bind the applicant to anything or them conversely. But if you had questions, then come on up. Okay.
That is a private road going, okay.
Looking at this one more time, shared driveways, it looks like you had a couple potential proposed, one of them for 3 and 4. There is in the zoning that any shared driveway has to be kept on the common boundary. Which I can see why you'd avoid that on that one, because it looks like there might be wetlands, but that in the past has gone to zoning as well for relief in those situations. Any other questions? Do you have any other for us?
No,
All right, thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody. So the next item on the agenda is case number 21-011-SIT, application from Richard Cody requesting site plan approval for a change of use, allowing the conversion of an existing structure to an office studio. Property is located at 18 Cooper Hill Road, Nottingham, and is identified as map 16, lot 5. Welcome, gentlemen. If you can just refresh us as to, obviously there's been some movement on this since the last time you were here, which was a little bit ago. Just kind of,
Evening, Scott Frankos from New Hampshire Land Consultants. With me tonight is Rich and Mary Ellen Cody, property owners. I think the last time we came to the planning board was August. Then we went to the zoning board, got our variance. And we went back and we surveyed the whole thing, had the wetlands delineated by Damon Burt of Fraggle Rock Environmental. Located all those wetlands, and that is the plan that we submitted, showing all the existing conditions in the area of the currently storage building. As you will see, the building does fall within the 50 feet of North River edge. So there was a plan that was presented to the board and the planning department about doing a potential deck around the structure. That's been nixed. That's not going to happen. So the only thing that will be happening on this is the change of use and then renovating the building. So there's no exterior work being done on the property. We did receive the review from Jen and Blair, Blair. And we did address most of the stuff. There was a couple lingering things that we submitted today. One was an impact statement, which is half a dozen or so questions. We submitted that, and we submitted a waiver for several sections in section 8.4, which was suggested by Jen. So on the plan, you'll see we addressed the parking was one of the questions. There's more than enough parking on the site. The septic system, there is about 72 square feet that will need, or 42.5 gallons per day that will be added to that system. We will have to get a septic approval on that. We haven't started, we've got all the field work done, haven't started the design just because we haven't got the approval for the change of use. So once that's done, we'll do the approval. What else was added? There was questions about lighting. There is no proposed lighting currently. There is one of those old style street lights on the building, and then there's another one in the parking lot as well, so there's plenty of lighting in the site. The only light that may already be there is a light over the door when it's a functioning business. Other than that, I think we're open to questions.
Thank you. So bring it back to staff. We do have staff's updated report after they had a chance to kind of go through the plans, the revised plans. Is there anything else in there that you'd like to point out besides what's kind of flagged to us in red? If not, I can go through them.
I will note that waiver and impact statement, those did come in today, but did not have a chance to review them until they were coming today. So we do have those, that need to be reviewed and acted on. They're reviewed up to today. I think most everything has been addressed. So I think the only thing that we want to confirm on the plan set is we have the original plans that show the deck. And as long as the drawing that was just resubmitted, with the wetlands, suffices for the file for the final version. Okay. The building plans do still have, the deck and those whatnot on them, so we just need to make sure that it's clear that that is not.
And once they submit for the building permit, of course, that will be updated.
Here you can see where, Claire's gone through and done all the updates and, has noted where things are at status-wise. Just kind of on some of the other remaining items that do not say addressed in red font. Just on the, section about, fire protection, and there's an existing fire hydrant system. There is the intent to put a sign up in the future, you'll request that and apply for that.
Sure, thanks. I did have one question on the new plans versus what was previously approved and the other one. So, and I don't know, I've read through the RSA's some, and I don't know if this impacts anything, but, so obviously these were condominiums and a condominium form of ownership. It was put to the state at some point, but now they're all listed as apartments. So it switched in between the last meeting and this one, from units to now apartments. So can you speak as to why that is? Or was the condominium form of ownership abandoned and?
I can let Mr. Cody speak to that more, but we didn't show them because they are owned all by one person, so there's really no limited common area in effect right now. Condominiums are in existence, and they were approved back in, I think, '07 or something like that.
Yeah. Site plan. But that's what I'm just not familiar with if the intent, so I don't know if these were to be approved the way they are we then approving the change of, and it may not even matter,
Yeah,
to be
we're
honest.
just-
Again, I'm
I
not.
would assume we're
but-
just addressing the one change of use for the one storage building.
And that might just be a plan revision to change it, instead of saying apartments, so it's a 1 3-bedroom condo, 1 studio condo, 2 2-bedroom condo, or go back to units instead. I think just seeing apartment on there kind of raise where I'd have to go and probably ask a question about it with the council on that one, because I don't know that if we'd be doing something that we shouldn't be doing without further application. So there's no intent to change the ownership right now, or the type of thing. I get that you own all the units, but it's still considered
They're
condo
still
form of
considered
ownership.
condos.
Right.
I would, there's no, we haven't done any formal
thing to change that.
thing
at
to
this stage.
change that, yeah. They'll have separate tax bills and.
I was gonna say they're separate,
Show that then.
yeah, there's separate ownership.
Yeah.
There's all separate ownership, right, as a condo.
But
They-
it's all owned by a single.
on them all.
You know,
Right, but within I assume their condos are within their walls. They own.
But he owns,
Rent now, but, I could technically sell one.
Condo, but they're rent.
Yeah.
If it was owned, I guess it'd be privately owned.
Yep. I didn't know if the term was that, unit versus apartment. I guess I freely use them both, and I just, because they're rented, I'll use apartments sometimes, but, they are units.
get that back to unit. Just want to make sure we weren't addressing something that we shouldn't be, okay.
Number 6, technically, that's a unit now. Number 6 is a unit. I want to keep that in play, yeah.
And obviously, I don't know if that has some additional approval that you need to amend with the state, with the current bylaws, and I know with condos, the RSA's, again, there was, with what's required of to be reported to the state, not by the board, it'd be on you to do that, so. All right, so that brings us back. So anywhere it says apartments, please switch back to condos or units. And then, I don't know if it's addressed, I did not see it in the notes. But again, what's labeled as existing storage structure number 6, we're not, there's no change to that. We're not acting on that tonight. It is strictly the one that's labeled here as existing structure to be renovated.
Actually, Blair noted staff technical comment number 2 related to the note changes. This might be partially just for my education on this. So this will qualify as an impact fee, even though it was a change of use as a commercial, and I guess I was confused because we've done changes. This is essentially
That's going from storage, some kind of storage place to now being occupied.
but it's being occupied as a commercial.
So generally, right, so the impact fee normally in that case wouldn't have the school portion, fire, I don't think the recreational portion, the fire portion.
It's actually been both before. It used to be, and it went to storage, and now it's, at one point it was occupied as an office.
Right, I guess I'm just trying to, I guess, educate, so we recently had a few changes of use. Are they required to also have an impact fee if this qualifies as a change of use? You know,
I think it depends on,
I guess I've just never seen the impact fee referenced on any of the change of uses.
yeah, it's
See it
referenced
here.
in the, it's on, referenced on the application itself, on the impact fees are listed in there, and then they're usually applied by the, I believe, by the building inspector before you get out.
I was just curious, because we've had a couple changes of uses where no impact fees have been mentioned. I'm just curious why it was being mentioned here for a similar change of use proposal. Well, that's what, I guess we're approving this one structure, which is currently not used as residential. I mean, it's vacant currently, right? You say it was used as an office, which is commercial. If you went back to get a variance to make it formal so you could have this commercial use in present day, it's in the underlying residential agricultural. This is very similar to we just approved a change of use for a commercial use in a residential. It's similar characteristics. I'm just trying to understand why the impact fee was brought up on this case.
Not if it's applied to that one or not. So, I mean, my guess potentially could be that this was, for all intents and purposes, on the last plan, I believe was, existing structure, and it was, I believe, storage. And then, so this would be changing it from that to some kind of, actual use, like an office, a commercial use.
I'm just seeing similarities with previous cases where, I mean, maybe we just missed it, and maybe they would have. I guess I'm just trying to procedural. I guess I didn't know that impact fees needed to be involved in commercial site plans, changes of use. Started to scan the impact fee thing, and that doesn't give you any quick answers.
So do we need a legal opinion on whether impact fees are proper here?
I'm looking to see what the applicability of it is.
That's what I was looking at, the applicability of the impact fees, and it doesn't really give you a clear direction as to how to apply it to different uses. Very general.
It's in the zoning ordinance.
Yep.
Under new development, E, the conversion of an existing use to another use that is determined by the planning board with consultation or advice of the building inspector to result in a measurable net increase in the demand on the public capital facilities that are the subject of impact fee assessment. However, it should not include the replacement of an existing manufactured housing unit. I think it's that specific letter with probably additional language.
Yeah, there's stuff even actually, like, letter C right there even talks about the construction of a new commercial industrial building or any net increase in the gross floor area. I guess, well, that's the only place that it really gets, specifically mentions commercial or industrial uses and how they apply to that. What we've seen in the past, just. I guess I'm just having trouble wrapping my head around how fee would be required for this application, and not knowing if it was applied to a previous application. address on his,
E,
right, without having addressed that. Is it then, if that's the case and it's held by him, do we even need to be addressing impact fees in our approvals? If we don't make that determination?
no, it's on the application that they can apply, they may apply.
I just wanna make sure, so on Blair's letter, I don't know if we just change that to will be handled by somebody else, I just don't want the applicant to have to.
Gap of time.
Whatever the table says for his.
So then when he gets the permit,
And then if you read the waiver section too, so we're restricted to what we can waive. So there's 4 items: housing, not this, accessory apartments, not this. Other contributions to capital facility, which doesn't sound like there's gonna be any of that. The alternative calculation, back on, calculation back on the applicant.
I think it's a little clear, I guess maybe it sounds like it's more of a standard note that should be almost on every scene. No, that's clear for me, is that clear for you guys?
I
Just a
think so.
Just a standard note, I guess, that we're
After
looking for?
reading this, yeah, it says that it falls under, it doesn't say that it's gonna be applied or not. It's just.
Yeah, it's not, it's saying basically you at the coordinate,
Yeah.
partially more for my education, so I can wrap my head around it, but.
All right. Is there any further question or comment from the board? If not, I'll open it to reopen the public hearing. I think it's probably not necessary, because I think they would have to pull a permit from the building inspector to be in compliance, so.
Question about.
What do you,
It was in the red.
yeah. I can come out with it. Which number is it?
Letter F,
Prior protection?
number 1.
I thought, yeah. So there's, what, I'm not sure, and Mr. Cody may be able to answer it, I'm not sure what's for fire protection currently right there, but there are several cisterns within it. Plus the river going right through there.
Fire hydrant.
There's one, yeah. Best I could, actually, it might be over, it's dry hydrant number 9. It's on the map of the town. It's by North River Lake. Not exactly sure. It's on 202, North River Lake Road, or right around there.
There's a pond there that doesn't have a fire hydrant right there. Technically in Northwood, but
Right. Yeah, there is a dry hydrant right
Year-round,
there.
year-round. Is that a dry
I
hydrant?
believe there is a hose or a dry hydrant. As you get on Cooper Hill Road before it goes into Nottingham,
It's like right there on the
little
left,
section.
yeah.
And
But technically it's northward, but
Kevin, do you know if this, I'm sure usually these plans, all the plans, applications usually go to the town departments, including fire. And I don't believe we've received any comments or concerns from the fire chief on it, and it's non-habitational. It's not attached to the structures.
and I did reach out to them and send a plan set, but haven't.
Yeah. Changed there in exposure. Updated all the systems, so it's less of a risk at this point. So yeah, so the zoning variance, I read the notice of decision. It was approved for the residential agricultural district for office use. If it was to change from that, kind of become a storefront or whatever, by site plan. I would like to see a note added confirming that the existing structure, storage structure number 6, there's no change to that. This is kind of linked together on the old plans, if I remember correctly.
old plan had some like LCA areas.
Well, they were
that
both like, it was like detached portion of unit number 6, that I was trying to find the old plan, in unit 6, so if we can, I think somewhere in the deed, in the language, it mentions detached. Throw a note on there, just clarifying that, so there's no confusion if it comes back before the board years from now.
No changes to the larger building.
Any other questions from the board? No? I'm going to open the public hearing, so if there's anybody here that would like to speak towards this application, you get to come up first. Anybody speaking against, or just general questions, you can come up next. Just would ask you to come up to the desk and state your name. Once, close the public hearing. So I think if I'm keeping track correctly, we have everything we pretty much need except for the waivers for particular items. You happen to have a copy of those with you?
The waiver. I do have I submitted them and I got a signed copy.
Check your, it's in the binder.
Is it-
Right, look at the sheet right before.
Let me look in here.
Right flip back a sheet, I think it might be the sheet right in front of, the 11 by 17.
I apologize. Yep, there it is. If it wasn't, maybe you could print it in red so it's easier to see. So we do have a waiver requesting, let's see, now subdivision regulation, Article 8, Sections 8.4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 13, 14, and 16. Seeking waiver from these sections as they are not proposing any site improvements at this time. The applicant is proposing a change of use from vacant storage building to an office use. I feel like, let's see. That'd be the only sections, just want to make sure you capture it all in one waiver from the revised notes. I believe that was it. And based on the staff notes, it seemed like sections to waive. So 8.4 is proposed site conditions, specific plan information. Let's see if we have what we need, or if we have what we need on there for what this is. 8.5, waivers for specific plan requirements. The only thing about, I'm sorry, the only thing on 8.4 was about that, that was the question, was number 19, the very last item of it, the note on plan indicating that it may fall under the Nottingham impact fee ordinance. 8.5 is waivers for specific plans submission requirements.
Is it verified?
Yes.
The number 5, 6,
Yep.
and the
Yep.
draft under section 8.4.
Yeah.
I got that now.
So it's section 8.4, 5, 8.4, 6, 8.4,
Thank you.
8.
As I went through, I realized I was. So if anybody would like to make a motion on that waiver or discuss it further, please do.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the waiver request for, from Article 8.4 subsections 5, 6, 8, 10, 13, 14, and 16.
Second?
It's a motion from Mr. McKinnon and a second from Ms. Mooney. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 7-0. And I believe we're at the point now where we can, we have everything we need for final action on this application. With the, obviously the amendments, so those would be items. And I think those conditions would be, correct the apartment to units or condos. Add a note that existing structure storage number 6 will remain. Nope, yep, regarding.
Yeah, we can add those back on there.
Yeah, if you can.
Okay.
I found that is kind of common vernacular with the, once you get through the condo RSAs, but if you can add it, that'd be great. And then the other conditions that are in the staff review, at the end of that, page 6, very last page. First one is correct apartments to units or condos. Then the other one was, that there's no change to existing structure storage number 6.
Looks like we checked that under subdivision / septic. Let's see. I'll make a motion to approve case number 21-011-SIT for a change of use application, site plan for change of use, with the standard conditions of approval as stated in the staff report. In addition, the conditions just previously explained by the vice chair and discussed with the applicant.
A motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item on the agenda is case number 21-013-SUB, application from James Lavelle Associates requesting a subdivision approval to subdivide 29.5 acres into 2 lots that will both have frontage on Jabig Road. Property is located at 22 Jabig Road, Nottingham, New Hampshire, and identified as map 18, lot 4-B. This is actually a continued case from a prior meeting. We'd requested some changes be made. Is anybody here for the applicant?
James, Tim, was unable to make it tonight due to an illness. So I think we went through and satisfied all the requirements. I just brought the documents in today, and it was supposed to be a couple of days ago. So he's been ill, so he didn't as early as we had hoped.
I appreciate that. So, to remind the board, the summary on this was, currently one parcel subdividing into two lots, leaving the existing structure on, the existing dwelling on one, the existing barn on the subsequent lot. There was a waiver, I believe, requested to, and I don't think we acted on that the last time.
I think we actually did.
Did we?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we did. We
Thank you.
approved, Yep.
So there was a waiver that was already approved then, basically to waive the topography going back and delineation beyond the contiguous area. So we had requested a couple different things be shown on the plans. I remember one was to show the curb cut on the new lot, which is showing. So there's an existing driveway already to that lot, to both lots. They each have an existing driveway. That was one item. We asked them to delineate where the 30,000 square foot building envelope was for each, and that's been done. We requested a second test pit be done in the 4K area, and it looks like that's been done as well. And in the abutters, we asked for the names to be shown. I believe that has been done. Correction to map numbers, which also looks accurate on all of them now. And I believe, I can't remember if we discussed the wetland stamp, if one was needed.
Statement on there, right?
Does that all sound accurate to you so far?
Excuse me?
Does that all sound accurate to you? Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
In the wetlands.
Make sure it was,
Any wetlands are way in the rear. Nowhere is near the front.
You looking for any final comments potentially? So,
yeah, I was looking for the,
I think a lot of that stuff is some things I brought up at the first meeting. The only one I'm a little bit stuck on is, this would be in reference to map 18 lot 4D, which is I believe technically the new lot being created with the existing barn on it. Because of the shape where it gets narrow, the distance between the two building setbacks, at least from what I've scaled off the plan, does go beneath 50 feet in width, which the lot envelope definition cuts off the contiguous area at the 50-foot mark. So it's a little bit hard. So it looks like here they've marked the limit of the 30,000 square foot building envelope as a little bit further up the hill. It looks like they're counting for that area between that point in the hill and towards the barn. But I believe the calculation for the 30,000 square feet ends when you get to, I don't know if you guys have the plan, if you guys are on the topographic plan, the 190 contour and the 192 contour, where that neck is, that's less than 50 feet, which would be a break in the contiguous area. Generally, it looks like with a slight jog of the separating line, you'd be able to provide the 50 feet.
There's plenty of room back there.
Yeah, and
It's just a matter of-
it looks like you just showed a straight line and went back, which is fine, and I just wanna make sure we don't miss that, because technically it's less than 50 feet, which is a break in contiguous area, and then I think that would mean the 30,000 square feet wouldn't be met from that point to the road. But
So
a
what is-
slight, and I can even show you on a plan out.
I just want to know, what is 30,000 square feet? It's going to be a contiguous area for the building lot itself?
Buildable area within, exclusive of setbacks, so basically outside, where you can place your building, outside of building setbacks, wetland setbacks. And there's just provisions, it used to be a 200 by 200 foot square, and then there's a a lot of lots that's not possible, so it was switched to a lot of towns have gone to a 30,000 or more square foot.
We should be able to get the 200 by 200.
It'd be, that also has to be exclusive of the setbacks. The 30,000 is actually easier because it can be shaped
Okay,
to
yeah.
fit with setbacks.
But in this case, I think a 200 squared would fit.
You might, I think it would fit out back or there's different places, but that has to be
Even
where
in the
you're.
front though, because between the two properties, there's almost 500 feet of frontage.
Right, but if you look at the new lot, there's 200, you're providing 200 feet of frontage for the new lot. You then have to provide the 200-foot building envelope. The 30,000 will be the easiest one to hit.
Okay.
But I think there needs to be a slight adjustment to the brand-new lot line to get that. It's the hourglass effect. It shrinks down below 50 feet and then it opens back up as it goes
Right.
back on the lot.
Right.
It's when it hourglass is below 50 feet, that's the cutoff for the contiguous. What I'm saying, Jen?
I'm not, I'm just, so,
Yeah.
I was a little unprepared here.
These were reviewed previously by our circuit rider, staff planner, and
Yeah.
he just couldn't be here tonight, last minute.
Okay, so that's, okay, gotcha, and so then we got
So
the narrow area.
it looks like you could jog,
He's calling
Like you
he's
said,
calling
like-
the limit for the 30,000 is further back,
Further
but
back.
technically that hourglass effect should be the cutoff, which I think then if you went from there to the road, would be less than 35.
it's the
Yeah.
lot envelope definition and
The
zoning.
lot
so
envelope,
It's
which-
30,000 square feet, and it says it shall not be,
Less than, is it about 75?
so as not to create an hourglass effect of less than 50 feet at the narrowest point.
Gotcha.
Yep, so that's just that
Then you
hourglass
can't,
effect.
you
there.
can't include areas.
But
It
that's-
would be a simple adjustment.
Yeah,
to
and
that
if you
one.
look at that dividing line, it looks like you quite literally could make a jog of 5 to 10 feet. It would meet the
Yeah.
Either
rate
up-
of the hourglass effect.
Yeah, either up front, that first section, maybe you could jog to the right, and that may give you enough in the front that you don't have to worry about the back, or, like Mr. McGinn said, you just jog that first two.
I did rough calcs, and they're probably right on the edge, at least based on topo lines.
Okay. Yeah, because if they're,
What area are you talking about, where they
That,
hourglass?
kind of like that neck area, yeah. the
Hourglass.
hourglass.
I talked to him today, and he said it met the criteria. I don't know what the.
Yeah, I think we had asked them just to look and confirm it's not the steep slopes, which is 25% or more.
Right.
I did some quick, it looks like we're probably just below it.
But if you move the line,
If you move the line, you pull your limit down below that steep slopes, then
Right.
it's not an issue, so. I
It's
think
just a joggle of the lines.
it's basically, based on the new plan, it's probably a slight adjustment of the two first sections. He looks like he's put some different sections on there based on monumentation. The first two lines, as you come back from the road, I think it's just changing this, going from straight to like a jog.
Okay.
And, I just know that's one of the things we've usually caught on some plans. So that's the only thing I've seen, everything, the test pits looked good.
Scale was
Plenty of
another-
room for that.
Was another item, and that looks like that's been corrected, as far as I
Yes.
could tell.
He said he corrected.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so one other thing I like to kind of point out on the, so we gotta get these kind of often where, the contiguous area is shown in the front, and and then we waive the requirement for the back. So, in my opinion, that would be where any new house would go, would be in the area that we're approving as the contiguous area,
Yeah.
the lot envelope. If it's anticipated that, someone wanted to actually put it way back here, that's not what we're approving. We're approving a contiguous
Up
area,
toward
the
the
lot
road.
envelope
Right.
for the house, for the mat. Any other questions or comments from the board? So it sounds like, I think with all the other changes that were made, I think that nailed all of them, and like, now we just have that one item, we would need to see a plan that shows that 30,000 square foot area to meet our definition of the lot envelope. Again, it's that.
So just a slight adjustment.
Yeah, and I mean, if he needs to just read the language, it's in the zoning sorry, not the zoning orders, in the subdivision regulations at the back where it says in the definition section. That's all spelled out in the definition for lot envelope.
He did
Yeah.
speak about 30,000 square feet, so he knows about this.
Yeah,
I
it goes
thought he
into-
said it, I thought he
Yeah.
said that it.
It meets the 30,000, but it's just that second piece of can't get have an hourglass effect where it
Okay.
breaks out. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it's just an adjustment of that.
Pretty minor,
Yeah.
pretty minor adjustment. Doesn't look like it really, maybe it slides the 4K area for the adjacent lot. There's plenty of room to slide at 10
Yeah,
feet.
there is,
so-
there's plenty.
And you'd still, it looks like you'd still be right on the edge of a test pit, so you don't have to.
And there's plenty of room for the test.
Yes.
Yeah. for the version, but- Comment from the board, so I think since that's kind of, that would be something we would need to continue for, we, instead of condition it, because that's a substantive change to a plan. So I'd look to continue this. I think the next meeting is December 8th. I know you said he's ill, but
He was,
I'd rather put you
I
on,
saw him today, he
Okay.
was better, but I
I'd rather
said,
put you on the
he's
earliest,
just trying to get better, so I said, we'll handle it tonight for him.
and that's the earliest available, so I'd rather put you on that, and then if you needed to continue, you know, you just send us a request, and get you the but that way, that gets you the, as soon as. So I'd look for a motion to continue, you know, for that, at latest.
Zero one B to December 8th at 7.
That's a motion by Ms. Mooney, and a second by Mr. Anderson. Any further comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, continued.
So we just have to, this is just one item.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the last one, and then,
Okay.
anything that the, you know, anything the planner, in their comments, that's usually the last page, they give you kind of the last items that we would usually condition as approval, which are standard, usually, you know, monument set, all fees paid, those kind of things, Mylar, like that, so.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll be the last substantive change for you. All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Next item on the agenda is case 21-016-SUB, application from Estes Family Trust requesting to subdivide a lot into 4 lots with existing frontage. Property is located at Kennard Road, which is a scenic road in Nottingham, New Hampshire, identified as map 12, lot 14.
Good evening. Paul Daberstein from Ambit Engineering. I'm here on behalf of the Estes Family Trust. I believe Mr. Estes is in the crowd here tonight, if you have any questions for him that I cannot address. Just give me 2 seconds. So, the project we are proposing, the subdivision, the entire lot is about 33 acres. It's kind of a funky shaped lot. It's made up of the, I believe it's Abbey Kennard estate, was divided up in the early 80s, and there was a lot of original lots, and some of these are those, and they're just stuck together, so they're in some funky shapes back there. So what we're proposing is to use the existing road frontage to create 4 lots. So the lot, as it currently exists, is forested. It's rolling hills. There are wetlands on the property. All of our proposed lots are going to be accessed and utilized road frontage on Kennard Road. There is one proposed shared driveway between lots 3 and 4. It's 20 feet on either side of the proposed property line. The reason that we need to do that is to avoid the wetland buffers, as well as deal with some slope issues to get to the lots. It's a a little bit steep right there at that corner where it curves around. It's a good spot to get in there. We can meet all the driveway requirements. We designed and graded a driveway. All of the lots meet the zoning requirements as far as frontage and area. I do apologize, one of the comments that was in the staff memo was regarding the 30,000 square feet, like you were just talking about with the 25% slopes. The area, the 30,000 square feet for lot 3 was calculated, that steep slopes are included in that. I did do an analysis, and it's about 66% of the 30,000 square feet is not 25% or greater slopes. If I understand the ordinance or the subdivision regulations correctly, that is waivable. I don't know what the board's appetite for granting a waiver for that would be. We feel that there is a appropriate building area. There's a, I apologize, it's lot 4 is what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I apologize. It's kind of a funky, lot 4 is a little stranger because it's cut in half by this wetland. So we have 2 kind of buildable areas on either side of the wetland. But the 30,000, the area on the east side of the wetland doesn't meet 30,000 square feet, and it also has steep slopes. So once we get up, there's a ridge that kind of runs through it, and the wetland's on one side of it. And we've looked at it, and we think that there's an appropriate spot back there, either on the ridge or behind it, for a buildable area. So again, that's a waiver that was not submitted, and if there's an appetite from the board to approve that, I would be happy to submit that. There are 2 other waivers that have been requested, and those both pertain to showing existing topography and delineating wetlands on the entire parcel. As you saw, it goes back quite a ways. There is a bit of topography. I do have LiDAR data if the board would like to see what the topography back there is. I don't have it with me tonight, but I can provide it. So we've shown wetlands and topography for the entire, kind of that front chunk that we're proposing the subdivision lots in. We felt that given the size of the property, particularly that remainder lot, which we'll call lot 2, we think that this is enough information for you to review the application and make a decision. And it would be a significant burden on the applicant to provide that information for the entire lot and not a great deal of benefit for the board. And then I will address just a couple of items real quick from the staff report that I received today.
Before we get into that, I'm sorry, I should have said, so before we, usually, no, I apologize, I should have said it. Usually we look for like a quick summary of it, and then we come to staff so we can act on application completeness, and then once application is accepted, then we go into the full details. So I appreciate, I think we've got enough so far to jump into that part, and then we'll come back to you for the rest of it. I know we have this. Yep. Looks like we have, looks like what we have in the application is enough to act on completeness. Anybody like to make a motion in regards to that? Do we have a second? Motion by Mr. Anderson, a second by Ms. Mooney. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, motion, so that was unanimous, 7-0. All right. Apologize. So now I'm going to bring it to.
Want to get the other one all the way?
Yeah, go for it, before you even do staff.
I'll make a motion that case number 21-016-SUB is not an application of regional.
That was a motion by Mr. McKinnon and a second by Ms. Anderson. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Carries 7-0. That's something we're supposed to do for every case. good practice for a board, so that's out of the way. Now I'm gonna bring it back to, staff, just reading through the technical comments. You wanna go through those, Jen, or you want me to? Comfortable, I'll let you, there's not a tremendous amount, which is, so it looks like we have, yeah, I'll go ahead. You go ahead. Yes, please.
I like this, standoff.
All right. Going through various materials, when I have looked at the waiver requests, about two is configuration, as presented, and concerns about waiver requests are essentially not detailed in the back portion of the lot. Did have some passion, so just generally about lot two and what is the lot two. Just looking at it, it looks very well configured for a road and for the subdivision of that lot, and so just wanted to question out of there. Just see. Standard procedure,
All right, I'll bring it back to you. I know you said you had some comments regarding those
Sure.
items, and then we'll
Yep.
bring it to the board.
So, kind of already talked about that, that 30,000 square foot concern, on lot 4. As far as plans for lot 2, I might have Mr. Estes speak to it briefly, but there, as far as I know, there's no plan to do anything else, with that backland. Obviously, we don't have all the existing conditions, but this area back here, there's like a stream that runs through there, you know, and a pretty significant wetland. So doing anything in the back is gonna require significant infrastructure work and, you know, an approval process. And, you know, that's not certainly what the intent is tonight. It is to simply subdivide the lot. So, you know, you never say never, but that's not in the works at the moment, certainly. I don't know if you want to add anything? Also, said it was all set, but the reason that the lot loading wasn't shown for lot 2 is because that was set up also for state approval, and it wasn't required. As far as the easement language go, obviously that's up to the board, and I don't know what your standard procedure is. You know, the easement obviously can't be granted while it's still in common ownership, so it would have to be at time of conveyance. And I would say, if you want to have a note or something to the effect on the plan, or however you normally use it, it's fine. It's gonna have to be done at some point anyway. So, that's, you know, I appreciate you listening to me, and I might be happy to entertain any questions or comments or concerns that you have, and,
Thank you. So I'll bring it back to the board for discussion, questions, comments.
So, and I apologize for the green, I know it's a little reflective, I'm colorblind, I can't see the red dots. Okay, so, This right here would be the shared driveway, the easement run along that, and particularly the reason, if I may step away from the microphone. There is a wetland buffer that runs right here, okay, slopes. Try to just access it here. The grading would end up in the buffer. And this sharp curve here, again, there's a wetland area here as a buffer. So if we were to put a driveway in here that actually both ways, the slope is more appropriate. Buffer. So this way, while it is, meets the driveway requirements, it's a less than 8% slope, you know, but it is a steep driveway, but that's the best way to access it without impacting any of the buffers and having to deal with any kind of conditional use permits. I mean, I suppose any future owner could come back to the board and request that, but right now we're trying to provide for that not being an issue going forward. Hope that addresses your driveway easement. Thank you. Oh, sorry, yes, it's a driveway easement, I'm sorry.
So I didn't see any waiver request for lot 4 yet.
No, I have not submitted that. That's my mistake. I saw that here in the staff report.
And if it's areas that are defined as unfit for building, that's not something we can waive zoning, because it's in the zoning ordinance. So the definition of the lot envelope includes, language about areas that 30,000 square foot area has to be contiguous for one, shall not include either areas unfit for building, appropriate setbacks, or building setbacks. So unfit for building is any land which is classified as a floodplain, a wetland, watershed protection area, excessive slope, or drainage ways, or a soil test indicate. There might be some reconsideration of that, or an abandonment of that lot, because again, that's gonna be a pretty tough area. So maybe three lots. You would have to check on that. I did have I had some questions, and I'll just go through mine. So I think that brings up lot 4. If there is a lot 4, regardless, even if that was, say, incorporated into proposed lot 3, the existing gravel driveway that's there now, that's accessing landlocked lot behind it, it appears, through this lot. Is there any deeded right of way there or
Not
anything
that
else?
I've found. I would have, one can assume prescriptive rights, but that's not my place to.
So that would be normally somewhere, I think we'd want to see that get abandoned. And if it's gonna be a shared driveway, we have language about shared driveways that access two lots. It can only access 2 lots, and they're supposed to be on the common boundary. So there might be a way to still get them access to their lot, but have it go up a lot line instead.
Because that it is a landlocked piece back there.
Yeah, but I didn't see anything in what was submitted to us in the deed or the old plan about there's nothing on them. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I didn't see anything highlighted.
I haven't located it yet.
So that'd be something I'd like to see clarified or pointed out. And then the wetlands, just clarify, I couldn't find the DES, the soil group, but we classify as poorly drained or very poorly drained. Do you know which these are?
These are all poorly drained.
Poorly drained, okay. And then the WB that's shown currently, I'm sure that's wetland boundary. Or
A wetland buffer. That's the buffer.
Okay. Maybe just define that somewhere on the, in the legend.
Yep.
Lot 2. Oh, so I don't know if you showed where the actual 30K area is for lot 2. Is it supposed to be measured as to where the limit of wetland delineation line goes?
Yes. So that's what I did. Essentially, I calculated it using that area within the setback, back to where I had information regarding the setbacks for the buffer.
So that'd be the 30K area, is that,
Yes.
that section? Maybe, I don't know, if somehow clarify.
Yep. Yeah, it's a little hard, it's a little wordy on the,
That.
Lot 1, where the proposed driveway is shown, I can't tell if that's impacting that wetland or not,
yeah, it's not.
right there.
No. It's just, it would just be to the east of that buffer.
Okay, so it's outside that buffer, I see it now.
Yes.
Yep, okay. It's on a scenic road, so there is provision in our subdivision regs that, in zoning, preservation of, certain trees and rock walls, and then that the application has to go, or the review has to be done by the Conservation Commission. You'd have to meet with them. And one thing that I find very helpful, so we haven't talked about doing a site walk or not, this is all along the road, is if they're not now, but any proposed driveway, curb cut, the stake like both sides, so that way people can drive by and kind of see.
Absolutely.
I see exactly where that is, because again, you pointed out, this section of the road has a good curve, a good hill after it. Sight lines could be a concern.
Sure.
And it's much easier to kind of see those when they're staked. For me, I think that captured all my.
Happen to know how far away the Little River is, comes under Kennedy Road? More to the east?
Yeah, do you have the cover sheet in your plan set? 'Cause it has the USGS quad on it,
Yep.
and you can see it down to the, looks to me like it's down to the east, before the road hooks back up, to go back to Smoke Street. So I would say the wetlands are probably in the watershed, but they're
I have to say that on behalf of the Conservation Commission, we would this application and might request a site walk, not only for the scenic road status, but also for the wetlands.
Sure.
And the river complex and proximity to Cyrus Pond, which is
This land is in the Wildlife Action Plan, is the highest, ranked highest in the state and the region, I believe, for quality.
provide me with approximate acreage for lot 2 would be extension.
So lot 1 is 2.2 acres. Lot 2 is 24.7. Lot 3 is just over 2. And 4 is 4.1.
Property lies within a very large undivided block, with 2 very highly valued ponds out there. Might be some discussion about possibly putting in loss in value retaining this area.
Sure. It's a beautiful, large piece of land there next to it.
That's something you
I
could
don't
definitely,
tell
Like half the
anybody.
town.
that's definitely something you could discuss at when you meet with Concom. Portion of it.
Sue, you could also probably include lot 4.
Lot 4 is right on the road, value for building.
Yeah, but it, right.
Certainly that will come in.
That was entertained. Lot 2 and then that's outside, I think.
fact that we also have a paved area. Town does have a property out there that's been developed.
Sure.
It's, because it's right after that, it's in that. Any further questions from the board? If not, I'll open the public hearing. I'm going to open the public hearing. So anybody that would like to speak for the application, please come up first. Anybody that's against or questions, please come up after. All right. So I'll close the public hearing. We can always reopen it. Reopen it to another.
It's the only one left, okay? Nervous when I came in.
I guess somebody might know off the top of my head. I was thinking, I know we had an application, recently down on the Smoke Street intersection. I'm just curious, the property lines that you're showing, are those, record lines, or are those, vision that requires the section? It talks about you, on that property, they had to provide a slight. Well, on Smoke Street, they had to essentially provide a sliver of land to.
Oh, correct, for the front, for the,
Oh, yeah, the frontage.
Section in the ordinance, but I'm trying to remember.
so what Mr. McKinnon's referencing is,
We'll make sure it's addressed and we check it.
so if the roadway, there's a right of way and it's supposed to be 50 feet, portions of this are outside, are in that and
Oh, you're talking about about Kennard Road, the existing.
itself, yeah.
It's assumed 3 rods. I couldn't find a layout.
Yeah,
So 49 and a half.
So I'm trying to think back to that application. I think they had made some, similar, they had to make some interpretations there along the frontage.
It's been fairly well defined at this point, so there was a survey of all this back in the 80s.
Okay.
And then there was a recent subdivision right across the street.
Okay, that's better. I think this last one had been.
yeah, it's, the intent there is so that when the town can improve it, they can actually,
Yeah, absolutely.
run into,
And then the only thing I think I had, and I know I just stepped out, but you guys I think talked about it, was, as you mentioned, the steep slopes on lot 4. Looks like there's obviously a section east side, which is on the other side of the wetland, which I know is not really where I don't think that's where that's not the contiguous area that you.
That's not what we're
calculated.
using for the contiguous. It's like 28,000 square feet.
Yeah, I mean, and then so where the lot 4 tag is, I'm on sheet C2. Just for my because there's that ridge there, and it looks like it's steep slopes on both sides. I would be curious to see if you can look at an alternative. Just because there's that big knob with the steep slope.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think this is a good opportunity to drive. Technically, the driveway could, I believe, I'm glad you're observing. As far away as possible. Other than that, I think the driveway location I'm glad.
subdivision regs too.
I have to look back to my notes. I know.
Especially in areas where like that curve is, for example, between 2 and 3, you know, so making sure that.
Yeah, that's the point I was looking
I'll have to find it for
Monday,
I'm sorry, did you say the 13th?
Two Ts. Contact information.
Sure.
I'll let people know.
If there's a quorum present, then
I would be taking notes. Could also be-
otherwise, yeah, if the meeting's open to the public. Yeah, for the, yeah, so normally we look for a review. Look at a letter from the commission.
Right, in addition, yes.
Yeah, so you mentioned a site walk. Determine now with the planning board will, because I'm.
This board, I guess, my initial opinion, flag where the driveways will be, where all the lots are towards the front of the road. Without a sidewalk, and there's no structures being proposed. But that's just.
I'm with you on that, I just.
Correct, yes, no.
I want to make a note that our next meeting is on the 8th.
Not a quorum, nope.
A little tricky to follow. It's-
Safe practice.
We'll come find you.
And just like what I said at the other case before this, obviously, if the contiguous area is up front and that's what's being shown, that's where the proposed, beyond that, into the area that's, especially when a waiver is being requested. We have to come back for, you know, so you're saying that the next Concom meeting is not until,
After the
December.
next planning.
yeah, I mean, we can continue to, my recommendation would be that we continue to the next meeting if you think, because obviously we're gonna need to see something about four.
Sure, then, yeah, I guess that would be my question, is
So-
can we come back?
I think
Make
because
sure
of
we're
that.
good, instead of coming back in January and having to come back.
Yes, that's what I would, do that way,
They work out lot 4, then.
correct.
Go
And then you
discuss
can,
that with the conservation.
then you can stake the proposed, access points too. Okay. Got some homework to do. Would anybody like to make a motion?
Oh,
I feel like coming in on the 20th.
7 p.m. Second.
So we have a motion by Ms. Anderson, a second by Ms. Mooney. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Fine.
So that's continued. it would be germane just to go ahead and get on that schedule with Concom
Absolutely.
anyway. So that you get that locked in. All right, thank you very
Okay,
much.
Thank you for your
Appreciate it.
thoughtful review, it was very helpful, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Brings us on to we already did the other business, look at us. Brings us on to the public comment. This is the time of night we allow any member from the public to come in and ask questions, as long as it's not about specific properties, projects, or applications. And we can try to answer as much as possible. Together, so there's none. So we'll move on to select board and staff board member updates. I will start with, are you ready? Nope. I'll start with Mr. Davies.
I am all set.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting a little punchy. It's really 9:40 in my head, so, and my kids, I keep hitting the reset button on them so that they like will wait, sleep till 6, but instead they get up at 4, so they went the other way.
Select Board had a nice meeting, last Monday. School Board, about their future home for the SAU. We talked to them and we thought that'd be a great idea for them to use the old town hall. Money they have set aside in the town, needing to fix that property anyways, because it's in disrepair, and instead of using that historical property, fixing it up, having them use that as the SAU instead of using space inside this building, which is already kind of cramped, knowing the fact that our rec department, which does an excellent job, definitely needs more space. What they do, so we're looking to get contracts and bids on fixing that up. Across the street in their own building. That's how we do this building. Only Nottingham.
So can we use impact?
I'd have to look at that, I'm not sure. I mean, they should, we talked to them about the money that they had set aside, and
I thought, I was watching back one of the select board meetings, I thought somebody on the school board that was presenting to you guys, I thought they also said they need to look into it.
the impact fees for any new construction and done like this, whether that's because it's a renovation or because it's new is where it had to be determined whether it's used. I think there's one of those variables.
New to the school, basically, yeah.
Again, it could, yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of new renovations that are gonna be done into the place, so stuff adding into it.
Is that solely by the school, like they're responsible for whatever it is, or is the town gonna
No,
consider?
they're putting a portion in, the town's gonna pick up the rest. We've already talked about using money to fix that old building because it's in disrepair.
Because the town will benefit from the space.
The town's gonna benefit, absolutely, because even if the SAU moves, this, we're gonna have a nice refurbished building that the town can use and then the SAU moves out of town.
Nice to see activity there too, so
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah, it's a great building, we want people to work.
The biggest detriment, I think, is access into it, the driveway. So it's not a big proposal. A ton of cars going in.
No, there's only gonna be a total of 4 people working in the building, so it's not gonna be,
One's part-time.
Sounds like a great way to just,
but if there was access, you would have
excellent.
that was pretty much took care of it all.
For me, just a reminder, so we have the tentative items for our next 2 meetings. We definitely have to get on the zoning amendments if we're planning on doing any. December 8th really would be the date we should be finalizing those and getting ready to vote on to post and publish for our January meetings, because meeting in December, which we don't have scheduled currently, and not proposing at this time, for a workshop on that. And you weren't here during the joint meeting. I think we kind of volunteered you to try to pull together some draft language for the building height. Again, we're not looking to revise, my understanding, we're not looking to change the building height thing, it's just to clarify how it's applied, so that the building inspector, no matter which building inspector's here, it's clear.
Yeah, I intend to, for that scheduled discussion, have something. I'll try and send it up beforehand.
Ken, if you can get it sent to the chair. Get that on, get going, and then I'll reach out to Blair to see if he can just send out the other couple of items to us all, so we can tweak that on the agenda. So we'll keep it on the agenda for 12/8, is my opinion, knowing that it's at least a reminder. If we get a chance to discuss it, we will. Otherwise, we can always discuss it at the meeting, or just making sure that we're not hamstring ourselves for,
Question for John. John, Dirk had provided you the letter from the board about recommendations for traffic safety.
We have all those
And-
emails.
Wow.
All your emails are you sent, Chris. All bundled together, so it's. No, it is a well-documented, back and forth that we have.
I think that, you know, for me, my, main interest at this point is getting scenic road medallions up on the
Yep.
signs. The other things are very important, you know, they have to do with pedestrian safety. But this is the quickest fix. We do have our 300, month and a half, so.
300, saw it. Bonfire in the town.
Yep.
Sand pit in January?
Yeah.
Quite a few events that we have.
No, there was something about Christmas trees and things like that, that the fire department will be picking them up, or can pick them up,
Throw your brush on top of your Christmas tree, so if you want to get a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Before I forget, so looking at our next meeting, it does look like we're gonna have a pretty full agenda. Continue case for the lot line adjustment for Lawson. We have the cases we just continued tonight. For it, so we expect that to
Say that I'll have something for you guys, hopefully at least a week before.
we would have to, our bylaws and see how we could incorporate that language in there. So we can do it, I believe. We haven't incorporated anything. So I believe we can, that we're kind of restricted by what we can do by the state. Board, but we also don't have.
that's without an executive order or a change to the statute.
That's current I-1A.
And then the other piece of it for a municipality like ours is the technology side of it, where we have somebody there to run the meeting.
We're all putting ourselves at risk. Mask isn't helping. So I'm just, I don't know if someone thinks there's something wrong.
I think I would be open to, I think for other reasons as well, request to the select board to review, see what the capacity would be, what it would be online, because when we had the Zoom meetings, the other benefit was, I think we had a lot more participation from the public, because people could do it from home, it's, you know, talk. I'm all for trying to increase participation in town meetings, good or bad. But I think if we can make that more accessible to people, I can work with Dirk if the board feels to draft something to the select board administrator to see if they can put that as a priority. I think it makes sense for the future anyway.
Chris did look into it. Act was coming. I know it was a significant amount because the building needed upgrades. I know there are towns around us, like I think Barrington and Epping still provide a remote avenue for the public to participate, but to your point, I believe the board still has to, but
Yeah.
I think, based on my professional experience, it actually cuts down on the public coming to the meeting, so you wouldn't have full crowd, you might have people there they're an applicant. But we've noticed, like Ed said, you still have a lot of participation via the Zoom, or the public side. They'd rather do that. People coming in to speak about an application, sit on their couch and join when their application comes forward, but. Pretty awesome what they're
It
expecting.
integrates, captures everyone on the world, and then we get a project. We actually use two markers, so that one that we can put and tile all of these are
Realistically, realistically, $1,000, hopefully, I mean, 2 monitors, the owl, maybe a backup owl.
Yeah, we did the projectors. I mean, you could do like the larger screen tracker just on.
Right.
Not even like
then it's just obviously our bylaws, so we have to be clear in how that works out, and again, I think, like you said, it's not, I don't wanna show, but it might be in them now about, you know, writing to the chair or whatever, you know, and to get approval. The base of it's to try to ensure that we don't start not present. Again, you know, I drove in from the lakeside, the Raymond side, and, you know, back, so. So I will reach out to Dirk, and between the two of us, I'll make sure that something gets to Chris and or the select board to make that formal request. I think it's CIP time, so maybe it's per time. Huge item, but obviously there's IT expenses and things like that.
Beauty is it would benefit not only standard Zoom. Beauty is you can have Zoom offer like almost. You see the people on the board, the public, they have absolutely no control unless you authorize that. Yeah, you run it as a webinar, which is, I've seen some towns not do that, and that's when people unmute themselves accidentally, and then.
For a public board meeting, you should.
And yeah.
It should always be done as a webinar, because then it needs to be the full public. You can select, like, they raise their hand to speak when it's their turn.
Luckily, Teams and Zoom have both moved to the webinar platform fairly recently too.
So I'll make sure I connect with Dirk and we get that request over, and this is the first avenue, because like you said, it makes sense for many of the town boards. We can also include it in our own budget. I think it makes sense to do it at the town level. The other side of it, the IT part of it, of, Jen said she'll do it. Everybody heard it.
The way we did it, you just need,
Look at Kevin, he's got 2 screens going.
Figure it out.
It's super easy.
I don't know, I'm kind of digging the old analog TVs in the back.
Jen,
You had to bring an iPad because there's something wrong. What you guys now as well.
I noticed that at the last select board meeting, there was some weird static.
Jen, do you have anything for us?
In terms of updates, you guys are not being in a schedule, probably just start with us at SRPC. We are in the process of planning our next quarterly commission meeting on Thursday afternoon. We have a handful of commissioners that wanted to come on to the building subcommittee a little over a year ago. We've been talking about different themes, and trying to organize regional conversations. We've done 2 so far. We're gonna actually merge the resilience and roundtable with the next commission meeting. And the topic is gonna be looking at stormwater flooding, emergency management, that side of things, and the interrelationships. We were still working on ironing out the
We did submit the letter of support for the grant that was being applied for. On time.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and so that, will be great updates to,
Perfect.
don't forget that.
Kevin, do you have anything for us?
So 2 things, just a reminder, we talked about, goal, that a lot of things
I think any new application, if we're legally required to see them in December, then we would do it. Otherwise, I would say that we put them on the first available in January.
So I'm gonna let you know as soon as I know, at least just enough that I have it. I have to notify them.
Yep.
I think what we have right now would be similar to what was on the agenda, so if that stays the same. That's the one thing, and then the second thing is putting together, next year's, schedule. Probably just send it out.
Yep. Yeah, we usually adopt that, so that'd be good for on the January meeting, to adopt that maybe at the first one.
I'm sorry.
You were talking about the calendar?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be good for like our first January meeting for us to adopt the 2022 calendar.
To kind of like approve it.
Yeah, just like this one that we have now, that way. Approval of minutes, I don't think were able to get the edits
I
to
think
everybody.
Did you need to resend them?
Usually we resend everybody, that way they can,
Sorry, I believe
oh, that's okay, once we get it, that way, everybody sees what they've been amended to.
I got edits from, both minutes, but I.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I know I sent through a bunch of first set, so so I'd just move that I'd just leave that, table those till the next meeting. And that, unless anybody else has anything further, I would, when do we do our budget? That would be a great question for the chair, the non-acting chair. I'm sure we usually get a request from town administrator. It says we need the budget. I know the town meeting has changed some of those dates, so,
I have some grace time.
yeah. Okay. We'll, maybe if you can put, well, I'll check with Dirk to see if we need it on the agenda for the next meeting. So, nothing further, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.